Hello, this video shows you how you assemble the latest version of TomatoTent. At first, it would be good if you unpack all the parts that you received with your TomatoTent. It should look something like this. First thing to do is to assemble the tent. To do the tent, at first you do the metal frame. You put this together. And one thing you want to watch out for is these snap-in things. So you want to have these line up, and then they snap together like this. Then when the metal frame is done, you kind of put it into this fabric stuff. You can see there's a vent, and then you pull this over like this, and then you can use the zipper to close this whole thing. Except that we don't want it to close yet. Next we need the LED light, this one here, and also this. And for now we only need these chains and hooks, just this. So take these two things. By the way, with this one, try to avoid touching those chips, because sometimes the chips, they brush off. So these chains and hooks, we're gonna prepare them. On one side they are kind of open, the other side is closed. You put the closed side through the hook, 2 per hook. Okay, now we have this chain in our tent, and I hang this chain in here, like this. 2 chains hanging down, and the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we take our LED grow light and we hang it onto those chains. It has got these. So it looks like this for now. Now you also need these 2, which should have been left over from when you were assembling the tent. And you notice they are a little bit different. This one is the deep one, this is the shallow one. Those 2, they go into the top of the tent. And I have the shallow one here. It goes kind of behind this air intake at the top. So it goes like this, and then on the other side I push the chain a little bit away, and then it goes over there. From there. Now the other pole. Goes there. So it kind of looks like this inside the tent now. Now we need the fan and LED driver combination. And now we also need these 3. Go ahead and unpack this ducting. And with one of these, open it up a bit. Makes your life easier. We now need to attach this ducting to the side where the label is not. So the fan label is here. We need to go to the other side where it's just black. We'll pull this ducting out a bit. Put the thing over it. Cool, so the ducting is on there. Now take this whole thing and do this. This thing is now being held up by these two poles we put in there before. And you kind of want to make sure that the pole is kind of under there to support it. One pole is here, the other one is kind of here. Next thing, we need this black front plate. And this one needs to get placed here. So I'm lifting the fan up a little bit here, and I push this plate under there. So the fan now kind of sits on this plastic as well. Now there's this cable coming from the LED driver from here. It looks like this. This cable needs to go into the tent, and it could go through any of these entry holes. When you're done with these openings, you can always close them so that no light or air leaks out. Anyway, this cable, it went in here, and this is the power cable for the LED. And on the LED, there's this connector here. So you want to connect these two. Now we need the smart controller and the temperature sensor. Connect the temperature sensor to the back of your Tenti controller. There's a little arrow there, that's top. And it goes into data. You push it in a little, then you screw it, and then you push in a bit more, and that should be it. Okay, I've got the cable. Place this controller here in front of everything. And the sensor cable kind of goes along the side of the fan. And the sensor goes into the tent as well, back here. Okay, now this plug goes in here. And this is a little bit, sometimes needs a bit of pressure. Now lastly, there's this cable here, the dimmer cable. The colors here may differ. Yours may not be red, but it's important that the black one, this one, the black one, there's this piece of stuff on there, black goes into the black one, and gray or red goes into the red one. One last thing to do. This cable is coming from the fan, and then we put this connected there. You can see here at the top there's this groove, goes to the top, goes in there, and then you can close this plastic cap. It only goes a little bit. Now on the inside of the tent, we want to connect our ducting to the LED light. We can also now zip this close here. Now you should have one of these power cables. That power cable goes into the back of the controller. There, sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. I'm sorry for the terrible angle. But this is in there. You can kind of lead it here along the back so it looks kind of neat. The cable. And that is the power cable that obviously goes to the power point. And you could now switch the whole thing on and see what happens. Should look like this. And go ahead, start a grow. Just see if everything works. So the light goes on, that's good. The fan is started to run faster. Then you could push this button to see if the dimmer works. Yeah, and it does. And of course you could remove these protection things. There are two. Now that everything works, I'm gonna stop this thing for now. And we can now do the last things we have to do. You need this one now. And if you have your carbon filters already, I know many of you haven't received them. It was just very difficult for me to get these. There may be another parcel on the way for you to receive these. However, if you have them already, as you know, you can use two at the same time. So for extra filtering power, the gasket goes over this hole here, and then the filter goes on top of this. And this is filter number 1. The air goes into the filter, goes over the LED grow light, takes out any heat as well, and then it goes up. And here on the fan you can place another one, and that's how you have 2 carbon filters. Okay, not much left to do. This is a temperature sensor, and some people put it in between their plants, so it's right hanging in the plants. But for me, I think a good place is to put it kind of close to where the air goes out. So usually you would have on the inside filter, you have white fabric over it, which I don't have right now, and the fabric is being held with like a rubber thing, and you can put the sensor on this rubber thing, and it's right there where the air goes out of the tent. And I think this is a good place to put the temperature and humidity sensor, this one. Okay, you have successfully installed your tomato tent. You can now play around with it. It started to grow. If you want Celsius, you can choose Celsius here and then click OK. Right now this is in automatic climate mode. It basically, the computer kind of knows what your plant needs, and it will just do this all automatically. You can also go automatic and then set certain temperatures and humidities that you want the system to try and hold. Automatic is probably easier. These are the timer settings. It's currently 18 hours on. If you were to have your plants in flowering or something, you would go to 12. Or if you run auto flowering plants, or no, you can even do 20 hours daylight. Sometimes it makes sense to have the light on, to have your grow tent running at night. So you could kind of hear with this red line, you can tell where you are right now. So I don't know, if you play around with it, I'm sure you know what I mean. Small plants don't need all that LED power at first. Probably 40% is enough. As the plant ages, you can crank up the LED. Fan speed for tomato tent is maximum 25%, minimum 10%. Probably don't need to change it, but if you want more airflow, you could put this up. The tent will regulate the speed between these two values. Always try to be as quiet as possible, and the airflow basically as slow as possible, because slow airflow will mean the filters work better. But also it can't be too slow, of course, because then the plant doesn't have enough air. These are the Wi-Fi settings. So if I switch Wi-Fi on here for the first time, it will ask you to set up Wi-Fi. You need a local Wi-Fi network for this, and a smartphone. There's a video on the internet as well. If you want to cancel this for now, you can push this button and the light goes off for a moment, which is fine, and then it goes back on. Okay, here you can end a grow, and if you want to dry your harvest, this is drying mode. Light is off. For drying, there's this drying net. You can kind of hang it in there. Alright, so grab the pot, fill it with soil, germinate your seeds, and have fun. Thank you very much. For more help and support, please visit community.tomatotent.de. And thank you, hope to talk to you soon.